Hey folks, Mr. Justin here with Secret Weapon Miniatures and another Workbench Wednesday. If this is your first time joining us, please remember to like and subscribe so you can follow along, and please come prepared to ask questions and have fun. This week, wow, what are we doing this week? This week, I do have a preview for you. So today's preview is actually our little bag of cones here. You can take the joke for what you like. This is, yeah, little tiny pine cones. Something I've been wanting to do for a long time. You folks, by now, if you've been around for a while, know how much I love to add little details like this to my basing. So, yeah, that's this week's preview, is this wonderful set of pine cones. I actually have some on the piece I'm going to be painting today to show them off. No price on this yet, but look for this in, well, December at the latest. We might actually toss it into the November calendar here. But let's talk about the base that I've misplaced. So since fall is definitely upon us and it's getting cold here, I decided I would take one of the Field of Screams bases, paint that up with some fall colors. I've also added to it, to add a little bit of additional interest and to help make the base unique, I've added some of the Secret Weapon tree stumps here and there. Again, a great addition to these and a good way to dress up your bases to help make them, differentiate them for your units and stuff if you've got to use the same size repeatedly. But I also have the pine cones in here. So we're going to have some fun painting that up today. I am going to start with the airbrush. A little yellow ochre ink here to get the pumpkins started. Hold this up just a bit. Just want to get it on the top of these guys. It's going to help lighten them up, make them pop when I get the orange on them. Did I miss anybody? No, looks all right. Rinse the brush. And now I have the Secret Weapon Orange Rust and Orange Heat from the Weathering line. Just because they are strong oranges and it's a good russet color here. Going to give these a spin today. And I am just putting them straight into the airbrush, so I may need to turn up my pressure here a bit. But we'll see. Let's see how that comes out. Oh, that's great. I must already have the pressure up from last time still. So this is Orange Rust. You can already see how, with that yellow on top, it's already giving me a nice pop, a good jack-o'-lantern-y color here. In fact, I like it so much I'll probably skip the orange heat. And by probably, I mean certainly. So there we go. We've got some good, quick jack-o'-lanterns. And again, that was just a little bit of yellow and then the orange rust. Shade those a little bit with a little extra orange. All right. I like it. Cleaning out the brush real quick. Everything's actually working and reasonably organized in here today, which is a lovely change. The remodel is finished. The cabinets at least are all put in. And all that remains now is the organizational stages. Which, of course, will be eternally ongoing, but get a little bit of that ink out there. So this is Antelope Brown from Dollar Rounding. It's a great little earth color. And I'm just getting it everywhere. Oh, hey, look, that tree's loose. We'll fix that. So I'm starting by doing my best to mostly avoid the pumpkins, but I'm going to get in there and put this dirt color on the bottom of them, of course. You don't need to worry too much about getting the dirt in places, because that's what dirt does. But I do need to clean up the orange here, too, from the overspray of the pumpkins. So I'm just doing that real quick. Boop, 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 boop. And that's going to become my base color for the dirt. Checking out my pumpkins here, see if I want to add any more dirt to them. I do right over here. With the pressure up so high to handle the acrylics straight from the pot, the ink is really flying out of there. But I don't want to take the time to adjust it down, so I'll just adapt. All right, and then we get to some light dust. This is one of the Secret Weapon weathering colors again. This week or next, I should actually be able to get in and start playing around at the Secret Weapon Paint Lab now, so we can get to producing the mech line of acrylics and all the other stuff we've got coming. I also had the opportunity to start working on formulations for the Secret Weapon oil paints. Very excited about that. It's been a long time coming. So this is just the light dust. I'm actually going to hold the base up at a bit of an angle and spray across it. It's like dry brushing with an airbrush. It's going to help pick out all those little details and spots, all the little dirt texture, without making the whole base light. So there you go. We've already got a pretty natural and realistic looking dirt coat down at this point. We'll pep that up some color in a bit to add visual interest. A little purple in there perhaps, a little blue maybe. Lend some cooler fall and winter tones for us. This is that moment where I remind everyone never to put a Q-tip into their airbrush. It's a bad idea. Trash is over there today. All right. All right, let's see. What do I want to do next? Well, the first thing I need to do is fix that little tree stump here. What are you doing? What are you doing, little tree stump? Have some glue. We'll hide that glue later. For now, let's get you to stay. All right, I need a brush. And another brush. Oop, not that brush. How about, ooh, that brush. That's a good brush. I like that brush. All right. I am going to start these stumps. So let's see. I'm going to remember not to paint that one right away because it's got glue on it. I don't want glue on my brushes. Let's give a couple of different looks to these trees. I'm going to paint these a little brighter so that I have the light wood inside from the stump. And on this one, I'm going to go a little warmer. So let's start with handlewood on that one. Actually, I'll do handlewood on all of them. And I'll put it on my palette right there next to where I was using it last time for whatever project. So this is just the handlewood acrylic. Where'd that go? There you are. brush a little wet. There we go. I'm gonna need more of that. And I'm just slapping it on the whole area. Same with this one. And to help them stand out, I'm going to do that little bit of dry brushing on the pine cones with this color. So I remember where they are. I feel like I'm missing a pine cone. Ah, there it is. Okay, I put them on there, so I should know. All right, let's see what I can do without hitting the glue. There we go. All right. Now, before I continue on the trees, the base is actually really boring. So I'm going to add a bit of color to it. I'm also going to get a towel, bounce the whole world. Close enough. One handy dandy towel. And let's get a little bit of green action going on here. What do we got for handy green? Not their normally intended function, but I'm going to use the verdigris greens from our weathering set because they're handy. Yeah, I want a little more pop before I keep going. I'm a little bit bored with base being so plain right now. Take your time. If you're tracing the vines like this, just take your time. Aim primarily for the flat of the brush. Just drag it along. I'm like, I know there are more vines. This piece was sculpted in collaboration with Dave Taylor. He did the pumpkins and whatnot, and I came back with the dirt and other detailing. I'm going to use the same green on the stems here. No color harmony. I'll come back and change that and pick that out a bit later. But for now, I'm going to help tie those pieces together. There we go. Right in there. Boop. There we go. Everybody's been booped. Oh, another vine over here. Look at that. Little leaf. And a little vine. Shazam. There we go. I'm also going to go ahead and see what I think about adding a little green to these guys. Just a touch. It'll add some color harmony and visual interest when I put the weathered wood over the top of them. Little hints of color in here. Pine cones always have a little hint of color. All right. I also want to pick out the rocks before I start doing the wood, but I'm going to do that with the paint that needs to be shaken up before I use it. Shake your paints, kids. This one's in the clear base too. So this is the dark wood that I'm working with now. Where'd that go? There's the dark wood. And I'm going to use it not just on the trees. I'm actually going to ditch that brush and get a bigger one for the rocks. And again, working with an extremely limited palette just for kicks. Makes it nice and simple. And now I'm going to put some on the pine cones. No, I'm just kidding. Not this time. All right, switch back to the other brush, and let's start talking about the wood again. All right, so on the big stump, I'm going to add the weathered wood effect here on the exposed crack area. And there it is. There's that line I'm looking for. Through here. There we go. Put the paint on so thick it's actually still wet. Alright, so that's the weathered wood on there. And now it's going to be fun, because in this case you can see where the wood's split here. So I'm actually just going to fill that line in. And on the other side, same deal right here. Nice split. So we're going to drag that dark wood up through here. In the case of the last stump, just to show, or last stumps, how we can change how the wood trio can create very different looks. I'm actually going to take this one here and hit the whole stump with the dark wood. And on the back of this, where the roots will be all rotted, and along the side. All right, I need that to dry for a minute. So I'm going to come back with some soft body black wash. This is the soft body black. Again, as always, when I pull these out, a shout out to Lester Bursley of Awesome Paint Job fame. Speaking of oil paints, I'm just going to use the binder that I mixed up as a palette. I normally use my little brush cleaning pot, but with a wash it doesn't work out so well. But yeah, mad shout out to Les for these, man. When he stopped making them, I wasn't going to paint in a world without him. So we got his permission to pick up the line and bottle them, and yeah, always grateful to him for that. Painting myself today too. There we go. Wipe a little of that off at the top to keep my pop. Now, the best way for me to do this would actually be to go outside, and if I was going to do lining like this, you know, spray it with a satin or a gloss, and then do the lines, and then spray it with a matte. But you're not going to take the time for that. Plus, to be fair, I don't often do it that way, even though I should. But yeah, just add in, thin this a bit. Just water, of course. And I'm actually slapping it on at this point. I don't mind if it darkens the pumpkins just a touch. One of the reasons we made them so bright. All right, at the leaves. There we go, and the other leaf. Shbunk.
Throne of Angels asks, what's the purpose of spraying satin before lining?
Oh, that's a great question. Why do we do satin before lining? Is it creates a non-matte texture on the model, so that the paint is more likely to slide off of the surface and into the recesses. I'll do that especially when I'm doing like oil paint panel lines and stuff on tanks or planes or trains or something. I generally do give it a hard gloss coat, then come back with my panel lining washes and stuff, and then the matte coat before I move on to weathering and whatnot. Yeah, the different coatings aren't just about protection. They also serve some function when we're working with materials. Thinning to wash down some more again, because this time it is for the pine cones. Just like when we're doing a decal, you should generally do gloss, decal, gloss. It helps remove some of the silvering, but also really locks that in place, because then you're putting the decal onto a smooth surface instead of a rough surface, because your acrylics and whatnot are all, you know, rough surface. They're all matte. That glossy surface is going to reject the paint a little better. And in the case of the decals, it's just going to be harder, and make sure that you get a flat fit. All right, dragging the black over the trees now. But now this guy, I don't even know if I'm going to get to paint this one anytime in the broadcast. It's I don't know why the paint on that one doesn't want to dry. Well, I do. I slapped paint on it. But how is that my fault? I ask you. All right. Let's see here. I have to wait for pretty much everything to dry, and this is a good opportunity for me to start adding some color. So I'm actually going to add a bit of blue and purple. I'm going to do that with the inks today. Yeah, they really do. They put white in their processed cyan. You can't do that. Where's my purple? Indigo. Just like purple, only completely different. Payne's gray, same thing. Yeah, I have a processed cyan ink over here that, man, I have a lot of Payne's gray. Has white settled in it, and that's not okay. Oh, actually, indigo is what I was looking for. I already have the purple. My bad, moo-moo. Shake those up too. Check the airbrush. And I'm just putting a couple of drops in here because I want to add some visual interest to the base. A little color will do that. Just shooting the paint on that one like a hairdryer. See if I can dry that stump for us. All right, let's get a little color right here, and a little more right there, and a little more right here. That's the end of the purple. I'm going to do a little bit of the blue. This is my indigo. Making sure. All right. Here's my blue. And I'll go over that with more of the dirt color in just a minute, but now I have some interesting color here in the bottom. And take my light dust again. I'm going to do the same trick I did last time. You might be wondering why I didn't do the color ahead of time, since I'm repeating a step here. And part of that is wanting to see how it worked with the other components, where I wanted to lay that color. I was leaving myself some flexibility through the whole thing, really. Putting a little bit of the light dust right over those colors. But now you can see, as we get back to the dirt color here again, how effective just those little hints of color can be. Right? Of course, right. All right. This week I'm going to remember to clean my airbrush. My Genesis, both of them are sitting up there in the in a bath, completely clogged because I forgot to clean them out last time. All right, get rid of that soft body black wash so I can get my oil paint binder out of the way. All right, let's see, back to this. Anybody dry? Let's find out. Going in now with the weathered wood. This is where things start to come to life. I'm going to get a different brush because I'm going to do some dry brushing. Now, I know a lot of people in the world just poo-poo dry brushing out of habit. I will remind you that if you're familiar with Laszlo or Victoria Lamb, the folks that do so much for object source lighting in our world, yeah, all of that's done with dry brush. All of Victoria Lamb's amazing OSL was accomplished with a dry brush. All right, speaking of which, what am I doing? Right, dry brush. Got to ask you, we're all in trouble, right? Here we go. Hit my pine cones. Now, if I were doing this with a model in place, I would also lighten up the pine cones in the direction of the figure, of course, to help draw the light and focus towards the subject. Little pine cones. Or a really fat armadillo, whichever one. I think it works both ways. Make sure it's a little more dry than that. So I am dry brushing the rotten portion of this stump now. Nice and heavy because we're going to do a wash here later. I'm also hitting the stump. Again, it's going to have a wash in a minute. That one's still a little wet, but that's all right. And in the case of the stump that I'm doing it all in dark wood, I'm actually going to go a little lighter with the weathered wood dry brush here. Let's see why I'm at. Yep, looks good to me. Now I'm going to come back to the original dark wood, that we used earlier, and I'm going to make a bit of a wash out of that. Instead of using my binder, I'm just going to go ahead and find a cup. Here we go. Just a little bit of paint, a bit of water. Check it on my cup to see how translucent it is. That'll do. All right, now I'm going to do a wash over the trees. This tree specifically. Nice and heavy. Becomes a question of layering the colors to get the desired effect. In the case of a flat wood section, like a fence or a truck bed or something like that, I even have an example I can pull out if I need to. I would actually let it do a little bit of pooling too, because the tide marks that you're going to get do a good job of looking like knots when they're dry. That one doesn't need to wash so much. This one does. A bit heavy, so taking some of it off just by moving it around. Can't really mess this up. Just have fun. Oh, forgot to dry brush the rocks. Let's pick out our rock textures here. We can add color to the rock too, of course. But not right now. Not gonna happen. Color harmony. See, really starting to come together at this point. All right. Let's see though. I have the washes. I have the things and the stuff. Well, a couple of things are going to happen then. First, I think I will put the ring back on here with some black. Assuming I can find black. My son got into the paint drawer. And now they're all, well, mostly laying flat in a heap. And I got all the other colors I needed ready beforehand, so we wouldn't have to do this. But, of course, I didn't think about a pure black. And I'm not convinced I can find one. My goodness. All right. Giving up on black. I was going to do the ring on that, but that's not a high priority. Just something I can do well. We wait for things to dry. Instead, I am going to find the leaf litter I have on my desk, which is right here. And the other thing that I forgot to grab today, which is hopefully some pigment fixer. Which once again I know is on my desk because we just used it for last week's video, but then I cleaned house. Ah, there it is. I see it. Look at that. In the bin next to my pegboard where it belongs. Ah, it's a miracle. No wonder I didn't know where it was to begin with. Some fool put it where it belongs. All right, so these are the dark green and light green leaf litters. I'm going to use a little bit of both. These are also the secret weapon, secret blend of herbs and spices here, or specifically herbs in this case. Every grumpy old modeler has their favorite materials for natural materials for basing. Not surprisingly, I find that more Brits use tea than Americans. Stuff like that. And to be fair, I'm just shaking it up, getting it a little more evenly dispersed. You can see how it's small in the back. Anyway, to be fair, red tea does make a really nice basing ingredient. All right. So, I'm going to start by actually just putting some pinches of this here and there. Not all of it's going to stay, most likely. There's the light. Emphasize the dark. I'm going to crumple this one up a little bit as I apply it. smells nice.
It's probably the nicest smelling thing in the toolkit.
Yeah, it probably is. Get that stem out of there. Who needs stems? All right, here's where we get crazy. Pigment Fixer is a brush-on enamel varnish. So I can use it as a glue as well. So this is also going to seal the material for me, which is important because this is an organic material. It is irradiated, but still organic, so you want to seal it thoroughly, which I'll do multiple times, once now and once when I seal the whole base. Or wood. I probably won't seal this base today because I'm not going to be using it. No clumpies. There we go. Bring that right up onto the ground around it. Some on the rock here. Spread around. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, it reminds me, my dog actually left. For whatever reason, my dog has been directly under my chair all morning, so I'm very surprised to find her not there now. Every other time I've gone to get up today, I've been worried that I'm going to run her over. Maybe she's just sick of listening to me talk about modeling. All right. So now we've got some leaf litter on here. It's even darker at the moment than it's going to wind up finished because it's wet. It will dry its original colors, of course. But right now, because it's wet, it's blending in with that dirt color for us very thoroughly. All right, let's take a look. Who's dry? Nobody, of course. That's great. All right. I'm also going to blow off some of that excess that didn't get glued very gently. Because I can blow the glued stuff off too, but I don't want to do that, obviously. All right, let's lighten up my green here. All right, I just cleaned enamel in water. That's not going to work just. All right. Well, the good news is at least I used a high-quality Raphael brush to do it. Kind of stippling on the color here, create some impression of texture. Hit the stems a little bit. There we go. So there's another leaf over here. Here we go. All right. A little too heavy. This time I'm trying to use the tip of my brush and I got the edge. All right, here we go. That's what I get for trying to make sure you guys can see it all. Boop. Boop that little bit right there. Boop that a little bit right there. Boop that a little bit right there. Boop, boop, boop. Stick my finger in the, oh good, at least I smell like enamel now. All right. So at this point, the only thing I actually need to show you is how to finish the wood, but we're back to that waiting game. Let's take a look. I'm going to say that's dry enough. We're going to make do because we have to. And what I'm going to do is bring back, there we go, a little bit of dry brushing. I'm sure you're shocked. You're all shocked. As I get another brush so that it's dry. It does help if your dry brushing brush is dry.
It's the little things.
Hey, I'm sure we can find somebody on Facebook willing to argue otherwise, though. I've been using a wet brush and it works just fine. All right. Boop, boop. So this time I'm very gently dry brushing to pick out some of that color. Getting a little heavier on the exposed portions again. This dry brush is going to stay dry long because the wood itself is wet. All right, so in this case, I am going to see if I can get you guys to see that. Hey, look, there goes some grass. Yeah, that one's a little wet to pull this off, but that's the idea, is I'm just hitting the exposed heartwood there. And then very carefully, very gently, dry brush the outside. There we go. Come together. All right. And next, I need handlewood again, which I can put back on the same spot on my palette. I seem to be doing that a lot lately. And I'm going to dry brush palette wood. Never seen a palette this shiny and clean. All right. This one's very wet. You can see the shine right there. So I'm trying to hit the sides of it. So now I'm dry brushing it heavily with the handlewood to get a very different feel, very different kind of wood here. Though it's muting a bit because of the wash is still wet on it. But here we go. We've got our pine cones, our old wood, very easily to pick out little leaves and vines, and our rocks, and some good color harmony here. And it's a fun little piece. And if I had the black, I'd kick that on here right now, and we'd actually be able to say, hey, look, we've made a base. And yeah, nice little figure base. Let's take old Captain Ahab here for a minute and have him set a scene for us. Out for a stroll in his pumpkins. All right. Any questions on the base at this point? Because of all the things, I have to admit that this is going to be probably a short Workbench Wednesday, because that's what I've got for you this week. I really wanted to spend my time painting one of these bases and have some fun with fall colors and everything. And an opportunity to show off the new pine cones, of course. There aren't a lot in here because, well, we're measuring them by weight, the same way we do the skulls and such. But yeah, so far, this is what we're thinking. It's going to average 19 or 20 of the small ones, and then we'll put 2 of the large ones in each bag. As soon as I get pricing for that, we'll get it up on the site, because we've got them. We might as well. Otherwise, let's see. Any other previews? Nope, nothing sitting on the desk. Yeah, that's all I got. In that case, folks, thanks for tuning in. Please do remember to like and subscribe so that you can keep up with us every week. I will be here. I love your questions. So, of course, if there's something you'd like to see me cover, please let me know, and I'll do my best to make a video just for you, covering the topic of your choice. Otherwise, happy hobbying, folks. See you next time. Cheers from Secret Weapon.